Okay, let's talk about teeth. Who doesn't love drawing teeth? Like pretty much everybody. Everybody doesn't like drawing teeth, right? And what happens if we go and we draw a mouth that may be perfect and 100% accurate and we outline every tooth and every tooth is perfect? It's super distracting, right? I mean, technically it's right, but you're not going to be looking at this person's beautiful eyes or nose or anything else because we're going to be so focused on the teeth. So let's talk about teeth from an anatomy point of view. Um, I like to think about the teeth as being like mouth guards. So the general shape is something like you would see in a sports mouth guard, where it's going to be flat on the front, but then as you go back, it's just going to level off to kind of cover those molars, right? So if we break that down into individual teeth, then we've got two incisors, we've got one canine, we've got 1, 2 premolars, and then 1, 2, 3 molars. So if you still got your wisdom teeth, you've got 3 molars back there. If you don't, you have slightly less. So instead of 32, you've got maybe 28 teeth. But that is just a lot of teeth to draw. So let's talk about the two most common ways people handle that. The first thing to do is remember that if you have a really broad smile, and you can see that in this picture, you're not going to see all the way to the back of the teeth. In fact, there's usually going to be a space. So don't draw teeth all the way back to the full edges. We're going to kind of cut that off there. All right. One great method that people do is they come in and they say, well, I'm just going to draw the gum line and the bottom of the tooth line. And then they come in, it's going to be more like this, where they just outline the bottom of the tooth, get that canine in there, premolar, and then you start to kind of lose it when you go back. On this side, slightly smaller incisor, nice pointy canine, your fangs, so to speak, and then the blah, blah, blah. They get back there, all right? And sometimes that works really well. You can just kind of give an indication of the teeth. But what I see students struggle with sometimes is just losing track of teeth. And then you just end up with something that looks like this, maybe, and you have no notion of how many teeth or anything that's going on. So it might work fine for a cartoon or something, but it may not be the exact perfect approach you want to do for your portrait. And then again, if you forget that the teeth also have a top, you've got to come in and do the gums. And then this can give you, just another thing where it just ends up being, let me just throw some lines in there. Maybe it's accurate, maybe it's not. It might work for you in some drawings, it might not. Another thing people forget to do is they forget to kind of add the shading, because it's definitely going to go back, right? So your back teeth are going to be darker than the ones that are right in front. And you're always going to, of course, to usually have some kind of shadow. Depending upon the smile, you might have a shadow on those upper teeth. So my method it's a little more time consuming, but it usually works good for me in portraits. And I go ahead and draw the teeth in. Find my midline here. Really lightly. And I'm not always perfect about it, but I do kind of get them in there. Canine sometimes a little higher. That gives me a chance to kind of look at the shape, check my sizes, and think about how much I want to do. And then that's going to kind of fade out with that molar back there. Let's do the same thing on the bottom teeth. Gap there from the two canines meeting up. So I end up with something more like that. And then I just take my eraser, my kneaded eraser, and I come in and I lighten everything. And then I erase out more towards the middle, where the teeth are the brightest. Oops. I got one of my lines off here. And then because I'm erasing, it really allows me to control how much I want to erase. So I'm actually going to leave some of the back teeth a little more delineated because I can see that a little bit more in the drawing. So if I were to then come up here, my eraser, and do it on this mouth, you know, I would just lighten up. This person has really long gums, so you kind of have to, let's say they don't have this long gums for our purposes. I'm going to erase that. And then I leave a little bit more in the back. But by drawing them in first, but knowing that I'm not going to keep everything, it gives me more freedom as to what areas I want to put emphasis in, and whether that is the bottom of the teeth. But it also means that even if I just end up with the top and bottoms, I know that everything is accurate. So it's a little more time consuming, but probably I have to do it that way. Being a medical illustrator, I just really want to know that everything is correct and that I'm not making assumptions. But that is my technique for drawing teeth. Draw them, erase them, keep what you want, get rid of the rest. I hope it's worth trying for you. Let me know how it turns out.